Here at the University of Otago, we recently turned on linked data in our library catalogue, and I thought Wikidata editors might like to learn about this reuse of Wikipedia and Wikidata information and see how it's working. So I'm going to give you an overview of what that looks like in the library catalogue and where the data is coming from. So this is a feature that became available in Primo VE, which is supplied by Ex Libris, a Clarivate company, in the middle of 2024. It's an option that each individual library chooses to turn on or not. So even if your local library is a Primo user, they may not turn this feature on. When you do turn it on, it provides context around collection items using information sourced from the Library of Congress, from Wikipedia, and from Wikidata. So let's take a look at it. I'm just going to search our library catalogue for Bill Martin. And I'm expecting to find a variety of different items. I'm going to restrict them to books because this is the kind of item you're most likely to see linked data for authors and so on in, but you will find it in other types of item. So you can see here I've got Bill Martin Wilfred, Bill Martin 1956, Bill Martin born 1916. So I've got a whole long list of different Bill Martins, which is what you expect when you search by string. If we take a look at one of these items, this is when we'll see the linked data feature. So over here, this part of the screen would normally be blank, but when you turn on the linked data feature, you get what we call these info cards over here. So Bill Martin is the author, and he has an info card. There's also one for Jacques Derrida, who is the subject of this work. And if this were an audiovisual work, you might find composers, musicians, cinematographers, and so on. So in this display in the info card, we get a description of the person, some basic information about them, and I can see this for both people, and there could be a longer list here if there were other people associated with this item. Now for these info cards to show up at all, everything hinges on the Library of Congress identifier. So the work itself must have the Library of Congress identifier for Bill Martin and Jacques Derrida in its bibliographic record. And then the authority file for this library must have the Library of Congress identifier for these two people as well in their authority files. And then further to that, to access information from Wikidata, the Wikidata item has to have, of course, the same Library of Congress identifier. So that's how the linking works behind the scenes. Let's take a look at one of these items. So Jacques Derrida, we get a short description of him, his birth date and place, his death date and place, field of work and occupation, and then it reminds us where the information is coming from. But we can see more than this. Oh, an image, of course. So if we click on him, we'll get another view that's also showing the same description and data here, but also with an excerpt from Wikipedia. And down below it, we get these other ways of viewing and searching the catalogue. I'll go into those in a minute, but first let's just explore where this information is coming from. So let's take a look at Jacques Derrida's Wikipedia page. Now you'll see instantly different image, but let's now look at his Wikidata item. Here we are, Jacques Derrida, and look, French philosopher 1930 to 2004. So that's the same description in English as we were getting in our linked data. French philosopher 1930 to 2004. You'll also find that his first image here is the one that's being used in the library catalogue. And if we scroll down, we'll find his date of birth, place of birth, and place of death. These, I think, are sourced from Wikidata. Although interestingly it says Paris, France here rather than the arrondissement that's in Wikidata. The occupation and field of work, these are coming from the Library of Congress, and the way I can see that, if I just search to find his Library of Congress identifier in Wikidata and open it up, then we'll see field of activity and occupation here, and you see they put this in the plural, which is a giveaway for where it's coming from. Okay, so that's where this information is coming from. Um, what it enables you to do for searching the catalogue, so it divides up information, titles by Jacques Derrida, titles about Jacques Derrida, um, in this particular library catalogue, and then the people associated with him is drawn from the info cards associated with all these other items. So if we only had a couple of items by Derrida in the catalogue, you might only see one or two associated people down here in this list. And it shows, I think, 25 items on this scrollable list up here, but you can also click to see all titles, which reveals a bit more to you about how it's built that list. And you'll see up here contains exact phrase, and this is Derrida's Library of Congress identifier here. So it's using his identifier to search the catalogue instead of the name string. Now, I don't think there are that many people in the library catalogue called Jacques Derrida who aren't this Jacques Derrida, but you can see that this is actually a really useful feature if we look at Bill Martin, because there were lots and lots of Bill Martins when I originally searched, but this particular Bill Martin has only got a couple of titles in the library catalogue. So it's a very useful thing for people with common names, commonly confused people, and so on. Because I visited a lot of library catalogues, I've been noting down those ones where I see this Primo linked data feature turned on, and so far that's 3 in New Zealand, 3 in Australia, and 3 from overseas. I've also included on the list the British Library National Bibliography Collection, which is showing linked data, but not necessarily through Primo, I think. But it is certainly working through the Library of Congress identifier and displaying information from Wikipedia. If you come across or know of any other library collections using this Primo linked data feature, I would love to hear about them. Please add them in the comments. Thank you.